This is why you should never lie to a female empath. This is why you should never lie to a female empath, because the truth always finds a way back to her. A female empath does not just hear your words, she feels the energy behind every word you speak. And the moment your truth and your story don't match, she starts noticing changes you never thought were visible. You might think you are protecting yourself with a lie, but in reality, you are revealing yourself more clearly. Because empaths don't rely only on facts, they rely on emotional patterns you unconsciously leak. She can sense the shift in your tone before your words even make sense. And what you call a small lie, she experiences as a deep emotional disruption. Not because she is weak, but because she is highly attuned to emotional reality. She notices when your presence changes, even if your behavior stays the same. And that is where most people underestimate her completely. When you lie to a female empath, you are not just hiding truth, you are creating emotional distance. She may not confront you immediately, but she will start observing you silently. Every detail you repeat becomes a point of comparison in her mind, and inconsistencies become louder than explanations ever could be. You might think she believes you, but she is already reading between your sentences. Because empathy is not just compassion, it is perception at a deeper emotional level. She starts to feel unsafe around energy that doesn't feel honest. And once emotional safety is disturbed, trust begins to collapse quietly. Not in a dramatic way, but in a slow, irreversible withdrawal. She will still smile, still talk, still act normal, but something inside her shifts. A female empath does not forget emotional impressions easily. Even if she forgives your words, she remembers how your energy made her feel. And that feeling becomes the real truth she lives with. You may think the lie worked, but she is already rewriting her understanding of you. Because empaths don't just judge actions, they interpret emotional intentions. And intention is something you cannot fully hide from someone who feels deeply. She starts to detach not because she hates you, but because she no longer feels aligned with you. And emotional misalignment is more powerful than any argument or confession. Once she feels it, no explanation can fully restore what was lost. This is the silent consequence most people never see coming. When a female empath realizes she has been lied to, she doesn't explode immediately. Instead, she retreats into observation mode, studying every past interaction again. She replays conversations in her mind with a completely new understanding. And suddenly, everything that once felt normal starts to look different. Small inconsistencies become large emotional clues she ignored before. And that realization does not create confusion, it creates clarity. Because empaths often trust deeply until truth forces them to stop. And when they stop, they don't go halfway back. They fully step away from emotional investment. That is why losing their trust is rarely reversible. A female empath does not need revenge when she discovers dishonesty. Her withdrawal becomes a consequence itself, because she no longer feeds emotional energy into what feels false. And without her emotional presence, the connection slowly loses its depth. You might still have access to her physically or socially, but emotionally, she has already disconnected from your version of reality. And that emotional exit is more powerful than any confrontation, because she stops expecting honesty from where it was broken. And expectation is what keeps emotional bonds alive. When expectation dies, attachment follows naturally. That is the part most people fail to understand. You cannot manipulate a female empath for long because she evolves through emotional experience. Every lie teaches her something about your emotional pattern, and she becomes more precise in reading you over time. What once worked on her slowly becomes ineffective because she starts trusting her feelings more than your explanations. And feelings in her world are data points she never ignores. She doesn't need proof in the traditional sense to feel something is wrong. Her emotional system already provides the answer before logic catches up. And once her intuition speaks clearly, she rarely dismisses it again. That is how emotional intelligence protects her from repeated deception. The most dangerous part of lying to a female empath is not discovery, but recognition. Because once she recognizes a pattern, she stops giving second chances emotionally. She may still act kind, but the emotional access is gone, and you will feel that distance even if she never explains it. Because empaths rarely need closure the way others do. They find closure internally through emotional understanding. And once that understanding is complete, they move forward quietly. No arguments, no dramatic endings, just emotional separation. That silence is often more powerful than any confrontation because it reflects finality without noise. If you are honest with a female empath, she may forgive imperfections. But if you lie, you change the way she experiences you permanently because trust is not just given by her, it is felt by her. And once that feeling is damaged, it never returns in the same form. She might still respect you, but emotional intimacy becomes limited. And limited intimacy slowly turns into emotional distance. You may still be in her life, but not in her emotional world. And that is where most connections quietly end without anyone noticing. Not through arguments, but through emotional exhaustion. A female empath teaches a silent lesson about truth. That honesty is not about being perfect, but about being emotionally transparent. Because she can handle truth, but she cannot stay in confusion for long. Confusion is what breaks her trust faster than pain ever could. And once she stops trusting, she stops investing emotionally. That is why honesty is not optional around her. It is the foundation. Not because she demands perfection, but because she feels everything deeply. And deep feeling requires emotional stability to survive. Without truth, emotional stability collapses. So when you interact with a female empath, understand one thing clearly. You are not only communicating words, you are communicating emotional reality. And she reads that reality more accurately than you realize. A lie might buy you time, but it always costs connection. And connection is something an empath never gives lightly twice. Because once she learns how it feels to be misled, she protects her energy differently. Not with anger, but with awareness. And awareness changes everything about how she loves and how she leaves. That is the silent truth behind every empath's emotional journey.